Hey there. I had a low network connection and now I seem to be connected. So let's see how this goes. So today's Sunday, and I thought that I would change it up a little bit and talk about something a little bit more personal and spiritual and reflective, since traditionally in the US, Sunday is a day to do those kinds of things. So, um, twice this week, the in my audio listening and in my reading, the phrase Deus ex machina, hi Ariel, has crossed my path. So today I just want to talk about something kind of spiritual and personal as like a going into the week. So the phrase Deus ex machina has crossed my path twice this week, in audiobook and reading format. And so this it means like the intervention of a god, and it's used in like ancient Greek literature where at the crisis, when all hope is lost, then a god intervenes and solves the problem. And one perspective that I read this week said that this was like a trope and that it's disappointing for the readers and the audience, because rather than the protagonist, which ultimately represents us, solving a problem through their own will, this superhero, this God force, intervenes and solves it for them, and it's not very satisfying. And I thought that was interesting and like, okay. And then I read it again last night in Marianne Williamson's A Return to Love, that I'm finally actually reading for myself. And she talks about this idea of Deus ex machina, and that as humans, we don't tend to call on that force until all hope is lost. And that is the significance of the supposed trope. And I've noticed that I fare pretty well in crisis. When I'm actually in a scary situation or in a heightened experience, it's actually easier for me to surrender and to like relinquish my will and be grateful and appreciate my loved ones. And it's actually concerned me a little bit. Like, I've wondered, do I bring on crisis just because I'm so much more mindful when I'm in that place? And, like, for example, my birthday, that night, I scratched my cornea, I think is what it is. And it's like a minor thing, but all I could tell was that my eye looked really janky. And I kept almost fainting, like I felt nauseous, I was sweating, I was like really scared that I was going to lose my eyeball. But then I also had this supreme calm, like, whatever you want, God, whatever you want. And I also saw, like, oh my God, my life was so sweet when I had both my eyeballs, and I was so ungrateful, you know? And then the next day I was able to do research, and I saw, like, no, this is a minor thing. I just need a warm compress, and it's going to be okay. And then, of course, like my ingratitude and my distractions and depressions and whatever like daily things I experienced from mundane reality came back. So last night when I was reading about this perspective on the Deus ex machina, that we don't tend to call on that higher force until we really, really need it. And I thought, well, what if that was consciously changed? What if rather than waiting till we're at our lowest point to surrender and call on this force and be grateful, what if we do this when everything's like steady? And how might things improve or progress, even if it's just our own inner peace? So that's going to be the thought that I am going into this week with. This is my Sunday gift, and I will try to continue to bring this into my present throughout the week and see how it goes. Of laying back and surrendering when everything's good, or fine at least. So it's my Sunday thought. I'd be real curious what you think about surrender and Deus ex machina, and whether you do better in crisis or in the mundane day to day? And if so, how do you manage that? Um, yeah, so I'd like to see how our weeks go, and I hope we learn a lot, and it's beautiful.